is Alex Moore on behalf of That Nerd Show. We're here at the 2016 Oak Cliff Film Festival. I'm happy to be sitting here with Jeff Walker and Bongani Miambo talking about the short film JIHN. And I'm not particularly myself an MMA fighter, but it certainly is something that has picked up in popularity over the last few years. And I've also noticed that in casting, you have a character, JIHN Frey, as I was looking at the casting in there. What's the is this connection with the character's name to the actor itself, or what?
Yeah, she is an MMA fighter, so it's kind of a verite short film about. We created a false story and we just structured it around her actual life and made a movie. So like training sequences and some of the sparring and things you see are real. That's what she really does. But then some of the conflict between her and the other characters that's fabricated just to kind of make a point about what they go through.
Okay.
MMA fighters.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, are you two yourselves, are you actual MMA fans, or is it just something that you've just had interest in over the last few years and decided it was time to do a story about this, or what?
Well, I think fans for sure, at least I know. Jeff probably more than me drags me out to more fights. But I follow, some of the UFC fights, and it's great to get involved with and see some of the local kind of promotions and fighters that are just like in your town, and it happens a lot more than people think, So besides JIHN, we've got a couple of other friends who also fight, do some amateur fights and professional fights, and so go out and support them, in what they're doing as well. So
yeah, I would say the MMA scene, the MMA scene for up and comers, I kind of started to notice coming from the independent film world, and just having friends that compete in that world, it surprisingly mirrors the independent film scene. As far as there being smaller promotions, and just the lifestyle is very similar to that of like an independent filmmaker, and just kind of doing everything you can to support your passion and what you care about. So I guess that's what got my attention, and then just the focus on like women's mixed martial arts, and I just wanted to make more movies about women as well, and just kind of I don't know, all my scripts for a while were just about women, so it's like, okay, I want let's maybe try and keep steering this that direction. So.
You were talking about how there is some sort of a parallel there between the indie film scene and the MMA scene. Did you find that there was a kind of a synergy, a natural synergy because of that with somebody like JIHN Frey in the movie itself?
Oh yeah, I think they seem to get it as far as like just the amount of work that goes in. When you're a filmmaker, you put in months, even years of work for a few minutes, and that's kind of like what fighters do, is they put in months of work, years of work, and then they go into a cage and they compete for a few minutes, and so I think there was kind of a connection in that sense.
That's awesome. Okay, now just talking about how this is the MMA world, and it's something like, as I mentioned before, it has kind of grown in popularity just very recently.
Yeah.
Has there been any talk with some of the upper echelon fighters like Ronda Rousey, or maybe sort of an effort to kind of get them to talk about this, or maybe even see it?
I think, I don't know. What do you?
Well, I don't know. It's definitely something which would be worth exploring.
Sure.
I think this is just our premiere here at the Oak Cliff Film Festival, and we've got a lot of options in different directions that we can take it now that it's finally done, and we are editing and finishing it right up until the deadline, and so I think that's definitely some stuff that would be interesting to do. I think it's something that a lot of people now that MMA is growing interested in. What are the stories of people actually fighting? Because you only get to see them right before the fight. How do people live like day to day? What is that training like? What is that kind of work? Real down to earth story about MMA fighters. So I think it would be interesting to explore doing that with other people as well.
Now, go ahead.
I was just saying, most movies have been made about MMA. They kind of have this tendency to be very kind of cheesy and almost a little bit ridiculous. So it was a big motivation behind this film, was trying to make something that was very real and honest, and not just cheesy, and was just kind of true to what the experience is actually like. And To JIHN's credit, she's actually the #2 ranked fighter in the world in her division. So, yeah, hopefully, hopefully they kind of maybe wake up to it and start making.
Yeah, with her being the #2 ranked fighter, I mean that's not just some scrub. This is somebody who has some success and is respectable in the field. So I think that can go a long way in terms of promoting this along the way as you move on. It should be exciting, I would think.
Yeah.
How are we doing here? We're good? All right, sorry. Okay, so where was I before? Okay, so she has a fight that goes viral, and this is about the technology. It's very easy for people to get their hands on things. So, in her experience, what does she bring to this? When she's had something similar, where she had a KO that was exciting that went viral, and there is a challenge of balancing life and career when something like this happens, and how it changes your life when you have success and you become popular for whatever the reason.
Just JIHN is in real life and in the film, she's sort of an introverted person, and getting a lot of public attention, it changes how you have to interact with the world around you. And so that's a lot of the conflict in the movie is just about how, whereas she fights because it's something she's passionate about and cares about, but now with the added attention, now she has to do interviews. She has to, she's constantly scrutinized on the internet. There's, we reference a lot of what you'll see is a variety of comments, a lot of them kind of sexist and derogatory, and they were all actual comments underneath her videos, all of it. So, and that's just what people really say. And it's not something anybody asked for, but it just comes with being who you are in that moment. So I kind of wanted to show what what a shitty experience that can be to a certain degree.
So because we're that nerd show, we have an ending question that we ask every filmmaker. This is just for the nerds and all of us.
Yeah.
It's about space. I can talk about space.
Absolutely.
I'm obsessed.
As filmmakers, if you could choose to be on a project, would it be Star Wars or Star Trek, and why?
Oh, what do you got?
I've got Star Wars. I've picked Star Wars.
Yeah.
I recognize that Star Trek is a lot more expansive, but Star Wars to me has always felt a little more epic. And their characters have always started from a really, really, really small place and become really big, as opposed to, for me, Star Trek, you already start with the captain, and the captain is great, and you can imagine that he's done all these things to get there. But Star Wars for me has kind of shown me that from the beginning of that character to get to that point,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So totally Star Wars. Star Wars, because it combines everything that's great about being a nerd, because I love stuff like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. That's also kind of a part of the Star Wars world, that you have these knights who live by a code, and also they're in space. And it's great. And it's like your childhood. It's Star Wars.
Exactly.
It has to be Star Wars.